At midnight, Butch and his cellmate opened the air vent in their cell together after quickly finding its location. Butch used a piece of cloth to grab the fast-spinning fan blade before the guards changed shifts. He kicked open the louvered window, the barrier separating him from freedom. Seeing a car coincidentally parked downstairs, the two were certain they would be able to escape smoothly today. But just as Butch was about to climb down using a bedsheet, his cellmate said bluntly, "I never liked you from the start, so after we get out of here, let's go our separate ways." After getting downstairs and hiding the bedsheet, he and Pugh ambushed the guard who was preparing to leave work and go home. With a stolen revolver, the two of them hid in the back seat, took the guard hostage, and then left the prison. When the two drove to a nearby town and were preparing to split up, they were looking for a car to switch to. At that very moment, Pugh saw a single woman preparing dinner for her child. "I want to eat fried eggs too," he said. As he entered the room intending to do something depraved, the old man next door and Butch both saw the scene. The woman's son also heard the noise and came into the kitchen. When the boy was about to protect his mother, he was slapped by this escaped convict and sent tumbling to the ground. In the critical moment, Butch, also an escaped convict, rushed into the room and kicked Pugh down. But he didn't pay attention to his cellmate. Instead, he looked at the boy who had just gotten up from the floor. Butch asked the boy's name. "What's your name, kid?" "Philip." After that, Butch told Philip to pick up the revolver that had fallen on the ground. Under the suspicious gazes of Pugh and the woman, Butch and Philip played a role-playing game. "Say I want to rob." "I want to rob." "Very good." Just then, the neighbor who knew what was happening rushed in with a shotgun. Butch and Pugh could only quickly subdue the boy and the woman, taking them hostage. Using the hostages in his hands, Butch snatched the shotgun from the old man. Because there were witnesses at the scene, the other party had certainly alerted everyone in town. Knowing they would be hunted, the two could only take the boy Philip hostage and leave town with him. The news of the escaped prisoners entering the town and kidnapping a boy spread across America in just one morning. Because the election was approaching, the incumbent governor wanted to continue winning the people's votes, so he took this vicious case very seriously. He personally ordered the state's chief of police, Red, to be responsible for hunting down the two criminals. To accomplish this, the governor also specially sent criminalist Sally and FBI expert Bob to accompany him. They sat together in a mobile command center, began heading to the crime scene, and directed the nearby police. But at this time, the other three had reached a public phone booth. Butch told Pugh to call his cousin who lived nearby to ask if he could help the two of them escape this danger. But Butch was very cautious, so he took the car keys before getting out. "Why did you take the keys?" Philip asked. "So we can't leave him behind." "So you're going to leave him behind?" "Of course." But at this point, Pugh couldn't get in touch with his cousin, so he could only continue driving to escape. Just then, the cellmate who had gone through life and death with him sat in the back seat and said, "If you dare touch me again." "What did you say?" "Are you threatening me?" "I'm not threatening. This is a fact." Seeing Pugh arrogantly holding the revolver in his hand, Butch asked Philip to hold the steering wheel for him. "In 2 seconds, I'm going to break your nose." That sentence is a threat, and this is the truth. Butch said and acted immediately. He used his practical actions to teach the boy a lesson. Now do you understand the difference between the two? When Butch drove up to a restaurant, because he wanted to go inside to buy some supplies and was worried about leaving the boy alone with Pugh, Butch gave the revolver to Philip. "Point it right between his eyes. If he makes any funny moves, you just pull the trigger right here. See? Put your finger here." "You're a real lunatic," Pugh muttered. But as soon as Butch stepped into the store to buy things, Pugh in the car began to approach the boy whose hands were trembling nonstop. Knowing that Philip only had his mother and younger sisters at home, he began to gradually approach this weak boy who lacked a father's love. After Pugh successfully took back the gun, he discovered there were no bullets in it at all. Pugh was not a good person. He grabbed the boy again. Fortunately, the boy Philip reacted quickly, using his teeth to escape the restraint and get the gun back. Because he was so frightened, the boy fled into the nearby cornfield. At that moment, Pugh, having just failed in his action, also gave chase. After the two chased each other in the cornfield, Butch, having just bought ammunition and supplies, saw the empty car. Luckily, he saw Pugh searching for the boy in the cornfield. Butch quickly found Philip hiding inside, then took the gun from the boy's hand. He heard Pugh's voice not far away, crawling in this direction. "What do you want to do? Want to hit me with this useless thing? We're friends." After that, Butch dealt with the pervert Pugh. He threatened the restaurant owner, who had heard the gunshot and come out to see, not to talk nonsense. After confirming there was no phone in his restaurant, Butch asked Philip, "Are you coming or not? Then get in the car." Half an hour later, Red's team in the mobile command center learned of Butch's latest direction from the restaurant owner's words. Looking at the criminal's general direction, Red ordered his people to notify nearby police forces to arrange things in advance and be ready. They began to quickly head to the scene where the criminal had appeared. Along the way, criminalist Sally said she had checked Butch's file. They could confirm that this escaped convict had a high IQ. Butch was an elite in the criminal world. When they arrived at the scene and examined Pugh's body, Red immediately began to study the surrounding map to find where Butch and the boy might have gone. After confirming their target, they immediately rushed in that direction. At this time, the other two were looking for a Ford. Philip was a little scared and asked Butch, "You just killed someone. Are you going to kill me?" "No, of course not, because we're friends." Seeing the worried boy, Butch described the car like a time machine from a comic book. "I'm the captain, and you're the navigator. Ahead is the future, behind is the past. If you feel like life is too slow and want to get to the future quickly, you can step on the gas pedal here, see? If you want your life to slow down a bit, you can step on the brake here. Then it will slow down. This is the present. Philip, while it's still here, enjoy it." Then, he talked about his father. Butch said that because his father drove a Ford, he wanted to drive that car away. The two of them were very lucky to actually see a Ford next to a farm. After getting next to the car, Butch told Philip to quietly go over and see if the keys and a radio were in the car. "If you don't want to go, that's fine too. If you go, I'll be very grateful. You'll always be my navigator." Under Butch's guidance, Philip went to check the car and saw the key was still in the ignition. But just then, the boy said he needed to use the bathroom. At that moment, Butch brought the supplies over to the Ford. However, the farmer discovered him. Butch could only pretend to be calm and say hello, then grabbed a set of clothes and ran to the car. Before the farmer could catch up, Butch had started the car and at the same time picked up Philip, who had just finished using the bathroom. Bewildered, the farmer clung to the car door. Seeing Butch pull out a gun, Philip didn't want to see anyone else die, so he bit the farmer's hand, making him let go. The two of them thus escaped once again. Red asked the local police if they could open fire directly if they saw the criminal make a move. Hearing that the simple Texan citizens wanted to hunt down the fugitive themselves, Red, as the chief of police, immediately stopped them. Just as everyone was discussing whether to persuade Butch to surrender or to shoot him on sight, the farmer contacted the police station. Red planned to go to the farm to investigate first, but they only found the on-duty guard, long dead, in the trunk of the car. At the same time, in the car, Butch was asking Philip about his father. "Are you and your dad on good terms?" "Yes, sir." "So do you and your dad play games like baseball or cops and robbers?" "No, sir." "Why is that?" "Actually, he doesn't live with us." "So where is he really?" "When was the last time you saw your dad?" "We have a lot in common. You know, Philip. We're both handsome, we both really like to drink Coke, and our fathers are both no good. My mom said when I turn 10, he'll come back." "It's very clear she's lying to you. He's not coming back." Seeing the kid who also lacked a father's love like himself, he told Philip he should learn survival instincts early. "People like us have to rely on ourselves. Don't go looking for foolish things like fate or things like that." As they talked, they entered a city. Butch stopped the car next to a store, intending to go inside to buy some supplies and clothes. To avoid arousing suspicion from others, he told Philip to think of a fake name for himself. The two planned to pretend to be father and son, but first Butch had to take the boy to find a set of clothes that fit. Casper, that name sounds so cute, like a little ghost. Philip, or Casper, was fascinated by a special costume only available for Halloween. But at that moment, a patrol officer was next to the store. Seeing the stolen yellow Ford, the officer immediately contacted his colleagues via radio, dispatching people for backup. The store owner was watching television and happened to see the news that the authorities were searching for an escaped convict. Looking at the description of the prisoner and the detail that a child might be with him, the store owner unconsciously glanced at Butch, who was preparing to pay. He immediately realized that this customer was the wanted fugitive. Butch also saw that something was not right with the store owner. First, he told Casper to wait for him in the car. Then he gave the owner a look, signaling him not to mind other people's business. As soon as he stepped out of the store, Butch saw two police cars and officers surrounding him on the street. When he hurried back to the car, he couldn't see any sign of the boy Philip. Seeing the police cars surrounding him from behind, Butch didn't hesitate to ram straight into one police car, and then the second one. At this time, Casper was stealing the Halloween costume from the store. "Casper, you little rascal. Stealing is a crime. You choose." Casper, the little boy, chose to go with Butch. The two hid near an abandoned farm before reinforcements from the police station arrived. Looking at the Halloween costume Philip had stolen, Butch encouraged the boy to put it on. At this time, the reinforcing police car also passed by the two who were hiding behind the farm. The clever Butch used this method to create a time gap avoiding being surrounded by the police. Meanwhile, the people in the mobile command center were mocking the boy for stealing the Halloween costume. That kid stole a Halloween costume, so they're cut from the same cloth. While no one had any leads, criminalist Sally began to tell Butch's story from her perspective. They learned about Butch's past at the age of 8. Because someone wanted to harm his mother who was dancing in a nightclub, little Butch used a pistol to kill the bastard on the spot. The boy Butch was sent to a reformatory for rehabilitation. Because he was very smart, Butch quickly became one of the children with outstanding academic achievements at the center. But just as things were about to get on the right track, his mother, who often danced in nightclubs, chose to take her own life due to the great pain of her illness. So where was his father? Nobody knows where he is. At the age of 6, Butch had been abandoned by him. After his mother died, he appeared. At that time, Butch had just been paroled, but a year later, he got into trouble again. He saw a Ford, and because he was so mesmerized, he stole the car to go for a joyride. It wasn't a big deal, but the judge locked him up in the reformatory for 4 years. It was the strictest reformatory in Texas. He learned how to be a criminal there, right? We've seen quite a few cases like this, haven't we? Red seemed to have thought of something again and remained silent. At this time, Butch and Philip, wearing the Halloween costume, were looking at the mobile command center across from them. The two didn't know what it was, so they honked to greet the other party. The police officer in charge of driving also enthusiastically responded with 2 honks. But Sally in the mobile command center saw Philip in the Halloween costume. That's them. They just passed us. What? That car just now was them. Turn around. Just as they were accelerating at full speed, Butch up ahead also noticed something was wrong. He immediately told Philip to lie down in the back seat, and then quickly drove off into the grass on the roadside. Because the mobile command center couldn't accelerate, Red and the others were separated, and at high speed, they crashed into a large tree. The 2 police officers responsible for driving fell into a ditch. At that moment, the communications officer reported that the governor was asking if the boy Philip was safe. It turned out that, to stabilize his poll numbers, the governor was consoling Philip's mother in front of a group of media reporters. I guarantee the boy will come home safely. After finishing his consolations, he immediately described the process of the criminal manhunt to the reporters. At this time, Butch, who had just escaped the chase, was resting for a bit with Philip on the road. He asked the boy if he wanted to drive back to the main road later or walk. But Philip asked, "Where are we going?" "This is Alaska, Philip. The last wild frontier. It's beautiful. It's very beautiful there. Have you ever been?" "No." But they were still more than 2,500 kilometers away from Alaska. Looking at the remaining supplies in the back seat, they had no choice but to leave the car here. Immediately after, they planned to go to a nearby farm to ask for food and drink. But as soon as Butch said they would play trick or treat, like kids do on Halloween, Philip said that his mother, for some reason, didn't let him play this game. But he really wanted to play. Whenever Philip saw his peers dressed in strange costumes asking for candy, the boy felt very envious. Looking at this obedient child, Butch just asked, "Do you want to play?" And so, the 2 of them, hand in hand, found a house. Although Halloween was over now, with Butch's help, the old woman was still very happy to take out a pile of food and cash. Before leaving, Butch didn't forget to pull out the phone line of this house. There are still a lot of good people in this world. After that, the 2 got in the car and continued on. Butch told Philip to spread sauce on a slice of bread. But when he saw a family of 4 having a picnic, Butch stopped the car and went up to a high place to look at the checkpoint ahead. At this moment, Philip in the car accidentally touched the gear shift. Seeing the car suddenly roll from the high place down to where the family of 4 was picnicking, Butch yelled for Philip to step on the brakes. Luckily, the boy stopped the car in time, otherwise the consequences would have been catastrophic. "Bob, my brakes are broken. I was wondering if you could give us a ride for a bit." When Butch intended to hitch a ride with a stranger to get through the checkpoint, the Ford again rolled towards their position. Philip stepped on the brake again. "Oh, great job, Philip. I knew you could do it." The 2 of them passed through the checkpoint with a friendly family of 4. But after driving a short distance, Butch asked the other party for a favor. "This is a new car. If you could you not go over 45 miles per hour for the first 500 miles? I'd really appreciate it." "I'll do that, Bob." On the mobile command center side, after waiting for rescue, they also quickly received news of Butch stealing a car. Although they were very anxious, for now, they could only wait. On the other side, Butch and Philip slowly drove towards Alaska. While in the car, he learned that the boy had never been to a park or eaten cotton candy in his life. Philip had never even had a birthday cake. Even a roller coaster, the boy had only ever seen in pictures. Seeing this boy who had never experienced anything, Butch thought that if he had the chance, he would definitely take the boy out to have some fun. Before long, it It was dark. After dinner, the two drove to a cornfield. They planned to rest there. But at this moment, the boy said he wanted to go home. "You can go home soon. I guarantee it, okay?" Before going to sleep, Butch specially told Philip to list the things he wanted to do but hadn't been able to do on paper. He told the boy to write a list of his own wishes. At this time, Red's group was also preparing to spend the night outside. Sally told him an old story. It turned out that before becoming the police chief, Red had been a local police officer for a while. According to Butch's file, it was Red who was responsible for his shooting incident, and it was also Red who used his personal connections to suggest to the judge that Butch should be sent to a reformatory instead of letting the little boy follow his father. Hearing Sally's questioning tone, Red said something not in the file. Butch's father was a repeat offender. He often went out and caused trouble, and moreover, he frequently beat his son and his wife. If I or the judge had let that kid go with him, Butch's criminal record would be longer than your arm. Therefore, putting him in a reformatory to be re-educated from the start wasn't too bad. I know there are kids who, after getting out of there, can change completely from the soul, some even become pastors. Because he had witnessed too many children being destroyed by terrible parents, Red, with a sense of justice in his heart, had changed the life trajectories of countless children. I'd give the judge a rack of ribs, tell him to put the kids in the receiving home. I told him it was the right thing to do, so the judge did as I said. Everything that happens in this world is unpredictable. Although Butch once had a chance to change, no one could have predicted that he would completely fall into the abyss because his mother took her own life. The scene changes. At this moment, the two sleeping in the cornfield were seen by a worker named Mac. Out of kindness, Mac took the two to his home to rest. When they both woke up, they met DiTi, Mac's wife, and his grandson. But as the two were having dinner with the family, Mac yelled at his grandson, "Go to the truck and get my stuff in here. I told you, didn't you hear me?" Seeing Mac getting physical with a child, Butch felt very conflicted inside. While Mac wasn't there, he still played tumbling games with the little boy. Butch even put on a record to listen to with DiTi. They grooved to the music, dancing together a dance that symbolized friendship. But at this moment, Butch discovered that Mac was listening to the news on the radio that he was a wanted man. Butch had no intention of pretending. He told Mac that he would be leaving soon, but also hoped that the other party would not speak of this. But as they were about to leave, Mac yelled at his grandson again. "Do the tumbling game with your grandpa one more time. Get over to your grandma, quick. Please, uncle, come on. Please, get over here." Seeing Mac continue to hit the child, Butch couldn't bear it anymore. He looked at Mac and thought of his own father who had also beaten him for being disobedient. Butch couldn't control his emotions. He pulled out the revolver. "Why did you hit Philip? Because the kid was slow to react? Sometimes the kid is too excited and doesn't hear what you say. You make me sick." Seeing the child sobbing, Butch loudly asked Philip to help him hold the gun and aim it straight at Mac. Then, he intended to play the tumbling game with the little boy. But at this moment, Mac was scared and pulled the child back. It was clear that he was worried the child would get hurt, but his wrong educational methods had caused Mac to lose his grandson's trust. Butch stood in front of him, showing him how one should play with children. Butch's face was eager for Mac to understand how to get along with children. However, because a conflict had occurred, he asked Philip to go to the car and get a rope. But Philip was very worried that he would shoot someone dead. At this point, Butch told Mac to hold his grandson. "Hug the boy, then tell him Grandpa loves you, Philip. Grandpa loves you." "Not like that, old man. It has to come from the heart. He knows I love him. Say it. Don't do this. Actually, I know you're a good person. I'm not a good person, but I'm not the worst either. I'm just an ordinary person." Under Butch's coercion, Mac sincerely said the three words, "Grandpa loves you." But all of this was seen by Philip. After that, Butch used the rope to tie Mac up. He turned on the music. "You can wait in the car, or you can stay here and watch. You're a grown-up now. You can decide for yourself." Seeing that Butch intended to kill Mac after the song ended, Philip began to struggle internally. At this moment, to pick up the roll of tape to cover DiTi's and the boys' mouths, Butch put the gun down. When he was taping Mac's mouth, Butch had actually intended to spare him. Butch started to tie up DiTi and the boy with tape. Butch only wanted to scare Mac a little so that he would change completely. But when he was about to take the gun to threaten the other party one last time, Philip pulled the trigger, shooting Butch. Without any hesitation, then, out of great fear, the boy ran out of the house and threw the gun down a well, then took the car keys and ran away. Philip squeezed through the iron fence and ran into the field, but the boy left a trail. Everything was seen by the farmer who was on his way home. Seeing Philip run out, Butch left a knife for the three people, then went outside to find Philip's whereabouts. Seeing a piece of the boy's clothing caught on the fence, Butch yelled, hoping Philip, running ahead, would stop. Actually, I wasn't going to kill them. In my whole life, I've only ever killed 2 people. One who hurt my mother and one who hurt you. Butch tried everything to hope the boy would stop and talk to him, but Philip was too scared and climbed a tree. At this time, the farmer had rescued Mac's family and simultaneously told the newly arrived police officer that Butch had a gun and that he had been shot. At this time, Butch had arrived under the tree Philip had climbed. Butch took out a postcard, telling the boy this was a postcard sent by his father. This is what I received when I got out of prison after 4 years for speeding and car theft. Dear Robert, I just want to tell you, my leaving had nothing to do with you. Alaska is a very beautiful place. It's very cold here most of the time. Someday in the future, you can come visit for a few days. We can also get to know each other better. Simple, but very warm. This is how adults talk. These few warm words also became the reason Butch wanted to escape prison, and it also became the hope and the place he was heading towards. Now that things had come to this, Butch hoped Philip would make a choice. The boy, of course, chose to come down from the tree and apologize to the person who had been with him all this time. I'm so sorry. I know you feel very sorry. Actually, if these things had to happen, then I'm very happy that the one who pulled the trigger was you. I mean, compared to being fed a bullet by a stranger, they basically didn't have much time. On the police side, they had quickly arrived at the scene, and Red's group was also there. Do you think he'll harm that boy? Definitely not. But due to excessive blood loss, at this moment Philip could only use his hands to scoop up some water to bring for Butch to drink. Red also knew that Philip had shot the fugitive, but the immediate thing they needed to do was negotiate first. But Butch refused to let the boy go. He shouted that if they didn't let him go, he would kill Philip. Don't look at me like that. I don't even have a gun now. Where did you throw that gun? I threw it down the well. That's a pretty good place. Because the police knew Butch was injured, they didn't dare to act rashly now. Agent Bob took out his sniper rifle and was ready at any moment. In addition, because this matter was so big, the governor specially sent a helicopter to bring Philip's mother over. Seeing that it was time for the boy to go home, Butch told the boy to put on his mask. He knew Philip wanted to play trick or treat again. Ready to go home yet? I'm ready. Chief, do you have any candy? What? Halloween candy. Popcorn, caramel apples, chewing gum, or something like that. Are you too hungry? Find me some candy. I have to feed a little ghost. At the same time, Butch read Philip's wish list aloud, making the boy's mother swear to complete all of them with the boy. She has to promise that when Philip wants to go, she has to take him to the park to ride the roller coaster, eat cotton candy. I want to go home. My mom isn't a bad person. She'll give me these things. Don't lie to me, Philip. I know how you feel. She agreed. Tell her to say it louder. I promise. After you get home, remember to keep this safe. After saying their final goodbyes, Butch was ready to let Philip return to his mother, while he would go in the opposite direction. But halfway there, the boy suddenly turned back to look, hearing his mother shout loudly, "Hurry up and run over here." Philip chose not to leave Butch behind. The boy ran back to his best friend's side. Being a smart boy, Philip knew that if he left, Butch would definitely be shot. So the boy hugged Butch, hoping that this poor child like himself would choose to surrender. Thanks to Philip's persuasion, Butch took the boy's hand. The two best friends walked forward step by step, hand in hand. But from the police's point of view, Butch had a gun on him, and they were very worried that the boy would be in danger. In this situation, Red told Bob to aim carefully at the criminal, but if he didn't give the order, he was absolutely not to fire. Then, Red walked towards the two. I'm not carrying a weapon, so you should put your gun down too. My partner already ruined the gun. Do I know you, pal? You don't. After exchanging a few words, before surrendering, Butch wanted to say a few more things to Philip, but his every move provoked the nerves of all the police officers present. When Butch was about to take something out of his pants, Bob, who was in charge of aiming, couldn't hold back anymore. Don't. Oh my God, don't. A gunshot rang out. Butch fell to the ground, and in his hand was the postcard he was about to give to Philip. Because on it were his father's words left for him, Butch believed that there would be a perfect world in Alaska. Therefore, he wanted to give this perfect world to Philip, hoping that the boy could protect himself well. At this moment, Red also saw that postcard. He angrily rushed over to Bob, who had just selfishly fired. Back off. Calm down a bit. What do you mean? I didn't say to fire. After everything was over, Philip and his mother were put on a helicopter. The two looked at each other one last time. Just like that, Butch left the world in Philip's eyes. The movie, A Perfect World, ends here. As an escaped convict, Butch only killed 2 people in his life. One who hurt his mother, the other who hurt Philip, who had also gone through a similar experience as him. On the run, Butch taught Philip, who also lacked a father's love, many things. He made the boy understand the difference between a real threat and a fake one. In his confusing life, Butch advised the boy to learn to enjoy the present, to control the trajectory and direction of his life. One must control the gas and brake pedals under one's feet. The future, past, and present must all be controlled by oneself. Butch told the boy to do what he wanted, not to let anyone stop him, not even his mother. The shot fired by Philip was proof of what the boy had learned. The kind and simple boy stopped him from continuing to kill people by hurting his best friend. What Butch hoped for most on this journey was that Philip would not be like him, losing other choices in life to pursue a postcard sent by his father. Even before he died, he never thought that the person who sent him that postcard was Red, standing in front of him. "Do I know you, pal?" Because he always paid attention to every child whose life trajectory he had once changed. After hearing that Butch was in prison again, he also knew that Butch's terrible father had disappeared again. Therefore, Red sent Butch a postcard in his father's own voice, hoping that he could forget the pain of his original family and start a new life of his own. But everything has a certain destiny. He never expected that Butch would regard that postcard as the goal of his life. When 3 lines began to intersect on the grassy field, Butch knew that he had found that perfect world. "I guess Alaska is just like the present, Philip." He would surrender and plead guilty for Philip. Butch realized this moment was exactly like Alaska on the postcard. But these 3 broken lines could not stop the game of fate at all. In the last moment of his life, Butch breathed a sigh of relief. He had found his life's destination because he had seen the perfect world from Philip. And the boy, whose family was also broken, was just like himself back then. Butch believed that he had healed himself and also healed Philip. In the future, that boy will surely remember everything he said. He will definitely make the right choice to experience the hard-to-come-by perfect world and start a new life that truly belongs to him. Today's story ends here. Thank you for watching the movie. What do you think of this film? Please comment down below.